Good morning, everybody. We're starting another job today. We're going to be doing a flake floor in a local community college in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania. So we're walking in right now. Of course, it's January, I believe, 26th or whatever it is, Wednesday. See my trailer parked right here. I'll show you the walkway we're going down. This is the walkway. I had to back down yesterday with the trailer, which we brought the equipment in a day early, actually 2 days early, to avoid the snow here. Jeff is getting the generator in place up here now. I'm glad we brought this stuff in, because this slippery stuff, trying to push 1,000-pound grinders around, just doesn't work too well. So this is where we're going to be set up right here. See, Jeff is parking now. That's where we're going in, so stand by, let me get in there, I'll show you the job. Okay, so now we're coming in on the job site here. I'm gonna walk you around, I'm just gonna show you what we're doing. Let me flip this thing over for you. Okay, so this is the current floor. This looks like some type of paint that was put on the floor. It's 1,800 square feet exactly that we're doing. There's a whole bunch of decorative joints that we're cutting here. So we're gonna have to fill all these decorative joints so we have a nice seamless floor when we're done. We put in some type of electrical box here, so we have to detail around that. There's an electrical box right here, which that is going to be covered over. And that's it there, and then we have a little hallway here. What I did want to point out is, people ask, how much equipment do you need to do these jobs? Well, this is our equipment that we need to do the job. We have our shot blaster. We have our small shot blaster there. We have that's an upcut saw. Grinders in the back, our vacuum system, all type of miscellaneous equipment, which I will get into all that as we start going. But there's a bunch of equipment, and unfortunately, you need to have it all, really, if you're gonna do this, or you're just gonna do it the hard way. So we're gonna get started now. I'm gonna record as much as we can just so you can see what we're doing. I'll try to explain everything in detail, just so you know how to do this yourself. Incidentally too, this is also the same flooring system that we use in garages. It's gonna be a prime coat, a base coat with flakes in it. And then we're gonna be doing an ultraviolet resistant clear epoxy top coat. And then what we're doing for scratch resistance is a urethane top coat on top of that. The urethane has a higher abrasion resistance than the epoxy. So that's what we're gonna be doing. This is gonna be a 4-day process. I'm probably gonna do 4 videos in a row, one each day, just so it's broken up a little bit. So we'll get started. Okay, so we're all set up. We have our vacuum system right there. We have our shot blaster right there, all of our hose. So what we're gonna do is shot blast all these joints open to clean them out so we can fill them before we do our floor. So I'm gonna put this on time lapse so you can watch us and see what we do. Okay, so we ended up running the saw down all these decorative joints. The shot blaster wasn't as effective as I was hoping it would be. So we cleaned them out with an upcut saw, which just means it cuts backwards, so it throws the dust in front, then it vacuums it right away, so you don't get any airborne dust. So I'm going to show you what these joints look like inside. I know this is very hard to see on camera, but we cut down and now you have clean white concrete in all these joints. So we're gonna fill all these joints now. We're actually gonna fill these with epoxy before we do the floor grind. So here I'm pre-filling the joints with sand before I fill it with epoxy. That way the epoxy clots in the bottom of the joint and you don't waste so much epoxy. Okay, so we're getting ready to mix the 343. This is a 2-gallon kit, your part A and part B. So what you do is you take your ketchup bottle to 1-to-1 ratio. This is marked on the bottle, although you can't see it, but here's 100 milliliter and 200 milliliter. I'm just doing that so you can see it. Once you fill it, this material's dark and you won't see it. Pour that up to the line. We're taking our part B. We're going to pour that up to the next line. And we're all set. And I'm going to turn this so you can see what I'm doing here. I might have just cut my head out of the shot. So you shake this up like this, and you simply run right down the joint here. So this is going to be multiple passes. This just penetrates in and clots at the bottom, and then we'll come back and top it off after this stuff sets, which should be pretty quick because this jug is getting hot already. That's it, so that was one jug. So I'm going to mix it up, I'm just going to do it again. Okay, so we got done cutting open all these joints and cracks like I had mentioned previously. Now we filled them all with the 343 epoxy. We put some sand in some of them. I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm just going to give you some close-up shots of what these joints look like. Okay, so the material is overfilled in these joints. And then now we're going to grind the entire floor, so all this stuff is going to be ground smooth, so you won't see it at all under the floor. And we're doing the flake system on top of this, so that will cover any imperfections. But all these joints are filled and overfilled. Cracks are filled. I'm thoroughly expecting some stuff to open when we grind, and we'll just patch them again after we get done grinding. Okay, so now we're all set up. We have our vacuum and grinder set up here. Just getting ready to start grinding. We have a 40 grit diamond on there with, actually the Gold Series diamonds for hard concrete. So we're gonna try that first. We're gonna see what happens. We might have to change out the diamonds as we go. I'll put this on time lapse once we get started so you can see how this goes. So I know this is going to be super loud. I want to walk in here though and show you how this grinder is grinding and there's no airborne dust. So I'm doing the edges by hand here, working my way around. There's a problem joint going right up the middle there. I need to grind it by hand to level it out enough to run the large grinder over. That's what I'm doing in the middle of the floor. Okay, so now I'm gonna vacuum the floor quick, get the dust up before we put our prime coat down. Get everything cleaned up. Okay, so unbeknownst to me, the battery went dead while we were filming the time lapse there doing the prep work. So I don't really know what cut out at this point, but you can see behind me now, everything is ground. We have clean white concrete all over. So now what we're going to do is mix our material and apply the prime coat. Okay, so we're getting ready to mix up our first batch. This is the CFS 707 LVP 3-gallon mix in a 5-gallon bucket. So the part B is in a cradle kit in the top here. It lays in a cradle. So this is what separates the units. You pull it out, you pop the lid off of part B. Pour it in, and that's your mix. So you don't have to weigh anything out. Years ago, we used to buy epoxy in like 15-gallon kits, and you had to weigh it. It was a very accurate measurement, and it's not fun to deal with, but this makes it very simple to do. It's foolproof. One thing I do want to show you is how thin this material is. The epoxy is the primer is 93% solids, and it's thin on purpose so it penetrates into the concrete. So you see how thin that is? That's a real thin material, but it's like that on purpose. So this is going to penetrate into the concrete, and then our next coat that we put on is going to bond to this, which is penetrated into the concrete, so it won't fail. That's at least the whole point. So that was it. That's the mix there. I'm going to put this on time lapse. I'm going to put you up on the stadium seating here so you can see what we're doing, and then you can watch us put this down. So I pour a ribbon of epoxy along that front wall, squeegee it back and forth, and come back to that first expansion joint. Jeff starts back rolling the epoxy behind me. I mix up another batch, get that out, and then we're going to put down that joint tape and keep squeegeeing material and back rolling going all the way across. Okay, so we just got done with the prime coat. You can see it behind me. I'll reach out there and kind of go around so you can see it a little bit better. This was an 8-hour day. It's 4:30. We started at 8 o'clock. Maybe took a half an hour lunch, but so we're done for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. We're doing the intermediate coat and the flakes. So I'm going to pan out here just so you can see what this looks like, and we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so this is just the prime coat, and the prime coat can get patchy. That it's not designed to look like anything. It's actually designed to penetrate into the concrete. So this is what the prime coat looks like. Tomorrow we're putting, it's the same color, just a thicker epoxy down, and then we're going to throw the flakes in that. I do want to come over here. We put a fiberglass band over this joint, which I have to reach out. Goes all the way across. That was definitely going to be a problematic joint, so we figured we'd put the fiberglass on there now rather than get a phone call in a year. So that's it. We're done. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe.